Hello and welcome to I24 News World Cup show, following all the events from the tournament in Brazil, and the dramas just keep on coming. With me here is football analyst Nitzan Perez. Hi Nitzan.
Hello.
Mexico was just 2 minutes away from stunning the world, but they're out. Costa Rica is one of the final 8 countries. All that and much more on our show tonight. Let's get started. One more quarterfinal is set. It was so agonizingly close to being a Central American derby, but Mexico was unable to hold on. The Netherlands equalized on 88 minutes and added one more on a stoppage time penalty. The Dutch are through to the quarterfinals. Mexico takes a lot of pride and compliments back home. Later on, Greece equalized in stoppage time against Costa Rica. The game went to penalties, but the Ticos were perfect, and one Greek miss meant that they're out, and Costa Rica qualifies to the quarterfinals. Nitzan, I felt that for 60 minutes, maybe even more, Mexico was the better side. Then they went back and basically invited the Dutch to press on, and finally they did it.
First of all, let's say Mexico is playing better maybe than Netherlands for the past few games, not just these 60 minutes. But going back and defending the lead, it's quite natural, especially,
it's what leading teams do.
Of course, in a knockout match. And I think Mexico had some let's say, a problem. They had a too good keeper. They rely on Ochoa so much during the entire tournament, and they maybe felt too...
And he was good yesterday as well.
And he was very good yesterday. And maybe they felt a bit too confident on putting all the heavy work on him, and eventually it broke.
Now, we saw in previous games in the World Cup, even in previous Dutch games, substitutes coming in, changing the games. This time it was Klaas-Jan Huntelaar. The managers seem to have a grip on the game, especially Van Gaal.
Especially Van Gaal, and it's not the first time it happens with Netherlands. We also saw Memphis Depay going as a substitute on 2 different games, one finishing with an assist and a goal, and the other one with a stoppage time goal. So many stoppage time goals in this tournament. But Van Gaal said something really interesting yesterday. He said that he used the water breaks during the game. They had 2 water breaks just to drink water because it was too hot. In the first half and in the second half, he said he used it as a basketball coach using a timeout and arranging the team all over and thinking and going to plan B. That was his quote. He said, "I'm going to plan B." And Van Gaal is controlling everything in the game, so different from Johan Cruyff, which is another Netherlands legend. But Van Gaal is Manchester United fans can be very optimistic. That's the point.
And one quick note, I've heard people saying, well, we should congratulate the Netherlands. They're already through to the semi-final. Costa Rica, we've seen them beat Uruguay, beat Italy, not losing to England. They're a tough team. Yeah,
they're a tough team. And I think yesterday's match was not a good game, but they went through it. It will be even better for them because it builds character, these kind of games. Costa Rica is not a young national team, but they're really unexperienced in this kind of events. And they survived a hard game against a hard-fought Greek team that plays to the final minute, as we know. And they survived it, and I think it will help them. And let's say the Netherlands weren't... They had one fantastic game, and that's it.
So Costa Rica is obviously going to be a tough match.
It could happen.
And the drama on the pitch was very quick to find its way to the web, as well as fans posting their thoughts. Here are some of them in Merav Savir's tweet deck.
This World Cup just keeps on getting better, and the controversies keep on coming. And a big one highlighted the Netherlands-Mexico game last night, which saw Mexico go home. Coach Miguel Herrera was fired up in the post-game conference, accusing Robben of diving 3 times and said the referee invented the penalty and mugged them. And he wasn't done just yet, saying if the referee invents a penalty of that size, you leave the World Cup. Others think the refs actually missed a few calls that would have gone against Mexico. And many were criticizing Robben for the dive. But as Frankie Ari says, get mad at the ref for not calling that first penalty, not Robben for getting him to call the second. And he may be right. But who's to blame no longer matters. It was a great game, and fans are heartbroken for Mexico. Birmingham City player Peter Lovenkran says, "What a game. I feel for Mexico so close." And one of the things trending worldwide was respect to Mexico. One fan says, for playing a great game, showing not only harmony between players, but courage and a good spirit. But the most talked about tweet of the night was from the Dutch Royal Airlines, who later took it down, saying, "Adios amigos, your gate is ready for departure." For Mexico, it was sure to be a long flight home, just thinking about that controversial call.
Now we move to the games coming up tonight, to Afro-European clashes. It begins in the capital, Brasilia, where France will tackle Nigeria. The French were one of the most impressive teams of the first round, but the African champions have plenty of talent, and they can sure give the French a very hard time. In the second match, Germany will face Algeria. Believe it or not, the North Africans met the Germans twice in their history and won both matches. Will the third time cause another shock against one of the strongest teams in the tournament? Merav Savir gets us ready for this round of 16 clash.
Germany has looked strong this World Cup, coming out of Group G as the top dogs, beating Portugal and the U.S. and drawing against Ghana. But in this World Cup, even with all the surprises, we've seen history repeat itself, which is something the Germans should be worried about entering the game against Algeria. The two squads have only faced one another twice in the team's histories, one of which was a 1982 World Cup victory for Algeria. But the African team knows it won't be the same this time around.
No, it's not the same. It's clear they are not the same. It is true the national team in 1982 played a nice match with Majer, Baloumi, Assad and Fergani, but for sure we will do everything to honor our country.
The other game between the two national teams was also a Germany loss, but they aren't letting history dampen their spirits. The German confidence is high coming into this round of 16.
Our
team is on fire. They're fired up for this match in the round of 16. Those games without a backdoor, where it is about the victory only and you just have to win, those games are somehow magical, and there's a huge tension in them. And in such intense games, there's a lot at stake for us, but the team is focused and absolutely concentrated, and we will go into that match with a lot of confidence.
And they have every reason to be confident. In the group stage, they pounded Portugal and tamed the surging Americans. They were so relaxed they were playing rugby during practice. Some think Algeria will be an easy opponent for mighty Germany, but manager Love has a message for those critics.
If somebody should think that in the round of last 16 we are facing supposedly easy opponents, and if you put your focus on the next round already, that's a huge mistake. Focus and tension is what we need right now, and every little neglect will be punished right away.
It'll be a tough battle for the Algerians, but they haven't laid down their arms just yet, and they hope the underdog title will win over the home crowd fans.
Yes, I hope so, because the Brazilians know that Germany is one of the favorites for this World Cup. I think we were welcomed very warmly by the Brazilians, so we thank them for that. I hope we will put on a show for the fans, whether Germany or us. I hope it will be a good match.
Can Germany turn the tides of history and beat Algeria for the first time in international play? We'll find out tonight in Porto Alegre.
And joining us now in the studio is Dr. Eyal Gertman from the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, expert on German history and German-Israeli relations. Dr. Gertman, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for your comment.
We look at, German squads from the 80s, the 90s, where the players were called Rummenigge, Matthäus, Hössler. I hope I pronounced it correctly. But today, aside from German names, there's also Boateng, Khedira, Ozil. We would have Gundogan if he wouldn't be injured. The country is changing, and so is the German football.
First, I have to mention the two strikers, Klose and Podolski. They also come from originally not Polish, not from Germany. That showed the magic of football and the process that the German society had in the last 20 years. You mentioned the 80s. Then the image of the German player is a German. He was born in Germany, but since then the immigration population in Germany, they grow up. Kids that were 2 or 3 years old grow up, they become German citizens, and now they can play at the team. So,
but the other thing, they play a very impressive football, beating Portugal 4-0, for example. But that famous Gary Lineker saying it didn't come out of nowhere. Germany was a winning team. This team has not won a title for almost 20 years, and when it comes to the money time, they choke. Yeah. It happened to them in Euro 2008, in the World Cup in 2010. They're not as winners as they were.
Same final as in 2006.
Yeah,
exactly.
We were talking before, and we mentioned that the German team from the 80s and the 90s definitely can beat the final in 2010. And
they would not concede a goal. Sometime along the end, they would score, and that's it.
Yeah, the German then were tactic. They play tactic, they hard, like a machine. That was the image of the German team. But since then, when the immigration population, the player came to the German Mannschaft, the national team, they brought with themselves, and the system of the game changed. It starts from Klinsmann in 2006 when he said that I want to change the system, I want to be attractive, I want to play more offensive football, not to be so with structure based on the defense. I want to go on with my player, and that's the result. And you can see many other fans doing all over the world that are in favor for the German team.
You mentioned fans worldwide, especially here in Israel. There was a lot of anti-German sentiment for historic reasons, for football reasons as well. It is changing now. Is that the reason? Because the football is changing?
Okay.
The German football?
From my hand, yes, I definitely can say it. We mentioned the difference between two teams, Rummenigge and Müller, the different players, different kind of system of football. That's that one thing. But if we are dealing with the World Cup, this nationalism, it's on the center of the arena. I am German, I am Italian, I am whatever, but I insist to serve my country so far. And now what's happened with the German team, that as Israelis and as Jews, the Second World War is all over. We cannot run away from it, and of course, when it comes to so very hard things like football and nationalism, then you can see it. And all over Europe, there are some relation between Germans and the others based on the history of First World War, Second War, and to go on.
Another national team full of, immigrants is France, and they will face Nigeria in the other match of the night. The French finally left all the social problems at home, and when they can concentrate on football, they remind us what a good team they are. On the other side, it's the African champions, the Super Eagles. Rav Sabir with the latest preparations ahead of the match in Porto Alegre.
Things are getting serious for the Blues. France has made it to the knockout stage of the World Cup and is preparing to face Nigeria. Even though they were held to a 0-0 draw by Ecuador, the Blues still came out on top of their group, consisting of Switzerland, Honduras, and Ecuador. And it's a good thing for France that they were able to get that top spot. Second place Switzerland is tasked with facing power Argentina. But the African nation is a worthy opponent for France, and the Blues have to come to this game confident.
Having shown our qualities in the first round, it should give us extra confidence. But the kind of confidence that should not turn into arrogance.
The group stage was a very physical and aggressive one for the French, but they should not expect the same kind of fight from the Nigerian squad, who are a more technique-driven rival.
We have a very good opponent, and we know it. They've qualified. It's not for nothing. Nigeria is a strong football nation.
This is the first time since 1998 that the Nigerians, this year's Africa champions nicknamed the Super Eagles, have made it to the second round. The Super Eagles are relying heavily on their stars Vincent Nyema and Obi Mikel. Their first round wasn't very impressive, drawing against Iran, narrowly beating Bosnia and losing 3-1 to Argentina. But they hope to use this knockout stage to prove to the world that Nigeria is in fact a nation of football.
Because in Nigeria, football is like a religion. It is what keeps everyone together, what keeps everyone happy.
For both sides, this game is a challenge. It is likely to be a battle for the quarterfinal spot.
Nitzan, it seemed like France finally found the way to have star players on the one side, hardworking players on the other side. It seems to be working.
Yeah, it's not on one side and on the other side. It's all over the team. They have star players, and they have even star players that work hard. We know they left Nasri back at home. We know Ribéry is kind of injured. They could have made
a bigger effort to have him
if Ronaldo came with the Portuguese team, so Ribéry could have come with France. They left him at home. They were also saying they blamed Bayern München for his injury, maybe just to cover it up. They were mad about them, but they left it at home. And eventually what you can see is a team that plays like a team, and that's France playing like a team for first time in a long, long time. And even Karim Benzema, that we all heard about his problems playing with the national team and doesn't fulfill his potential. He had 15 shots on goal in this tournament so far, and it's only in 3 games, and it's the most in the World Cup. And he's going to meet Vincent Nyema, which is the goalkeeper with 17 saves, which is the 3rd most in the World Cup.
What a meeting. What a difference between this France and the one we've seen in 2010, 2012. We saw all those problems. This France is a bit like Germany. We see the players, their names are Benzema, Ribéry, and Nasri. They're not here, but they're integral parts of their squad. It's the same process that even started with Zinedine Zidane in 1998.
That's why the question now, what's the face of Europe going to be in the next century, the next future, to see what's going to happen. 2 teams, They were enemies for many years. In both teams, you can find immigrants, not original German, made in Germany or made in France, and you can see the change, how they can integrate in the society. They have some of them coming from very hard workers families, especially in France. And football, it's one of the options to get out of this circle of poverty and to go out to show your character to the world and even to earn money from that. And that's the most important question is to see what's going to happen in 20 years from now, what's going to be the...
And these two teams, maybe France and Germany will meet each other in the quarterfinals. Nitzan Peled, Dr. Eyal Gertman, thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
And that's it for us today. We'll be here again tomorrow to summarize another exciting night in the round of 16. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.